Good evening. Good evening, boys and girls, moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, teachers, brothers, sisters, cousins. Welcome to our annual Young Storytellers Award Show. My name is Angie Callahan. I'm Director of Children's Services here at WHRO, and this is always one of our favorite nights. We had over 300 stories submitted this year, and you young people sitting in our front row here, you 12, have been deemed the best 12 young writers in grades K through 5 in our region. Let's give them all a hand. Let's meet our young storyteller winners. And our first winner we're going to meet tonight is our kindergarten honorable mention. Her name is Courtney Matthews. Courtney is she's from Carver Elementary School in Newport News, and she wrote a very beautiful story called My Family. Courtney, your story is very, very special. Something special is happening to you. Do you want to share with the people what's going on? You're getting a new mom and dad, right?
Yes.
Right, so you're being adopted, right?
Yes.
And you're very excited about this, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, and her whole story is about being adopted by her new mom and dad. And she's getting a big brother, Nick, right? And Nick's here tonight too, isn't he? Yes, yes. And some of the things that she said she really liked about having this new family was you get to eat together, right? And you like something. What is it you like?
Macaroni and cheese.
I like macaroni and cheese myself. It's one of my favorite. And then you also get to go to church with them. You go to church a couple times a week?
Yes.
Yeah, on Wednesdays and on Sundays, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But the best thing is going to be you're going to get to change your last name, right?
Yes.
And what's your new last name?
Morgan.
Morgan. Let's all give Courtney a hand for that beautiful story. Our first place kindergarten winner is Rachel Curtis. Rachel wrote a great story called The Princess and the Alicorn. And she's from Achilles Elementary in Gloucester. That's a long ways away, isn't it? Because we're here in Norfolk right now, aren't we? So, yeah, you had a good distance to come. But what I think is interesting about your story is really, it's a kind of a story about bullying, isn't it? And how you can keep from getting bullied, right? Because in your story, you and your Alicorn, you were playing, right? You were doing art, right? Because it was raining outside. You were in the castle, right?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
They heard the door to their room slam while they were drawing, and it was bullies.
Yeah, it was like 3 bullies. And what did the bullies want?
Their dogs back.
But did the princess and the Alicorn, did they know where the dogs were?
No.
Right, so what did they say? They started talking to the bullies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of helped, didn't it? So they said, what did they tell the bullies?
That they'll help them find them.
Right, so they started looking for these dogs, and they looked in the bushes and behind rocks, and then they found them. And where did they find those dogs?
In a mud pit.
And so how did they get them out of that mud pit?
They worked together.
Right, so the bullies and the princess and the Alicorn all worked together. They got the dogs out, and then suddenly the bullies weren't such bullies anymore. What did they do?
They asked them if they could come over to their house to play, and they said yes.
Yeah, so they went over and they played, what was it, Connect 4, and had some ice cream or cake.
Cookies and milk.
Cookies and
They
milk.
watched a movie.
And they watched a movie. So it turned out all right because they talked to each other, right?
Yeah.
And then they helped each other. All right, well, that was a great story, Rachel. Thank you. Our first grade honorable mention is Genesis Watson. Genesis' story is Music in the Sun. And Genesis is a student at Ocean View Elementary School in Norfolk. You had beautiful artwork in your story. It's really beautiful. You must like to draw. Yeah. Well, your story, it's the 2 little girls are in their room, right? And they're kind of bored. Do you get bored sometimes? Yeah, yeah. But they looked out and they saw the sun, right? And then something really cool happened. What happened?
Well, me and my sister went up to the stairway and saw the sun.
Right, this magic stairway came shooting out of the sun, and then you all could go up there, right? So when you got up there and you went into the sunroom, what was in the sunroom?
Got a lot of music.
It was some beautiful music was playing, and you all started to dance, right? And you were really enjoying the music. But then as the sun started to set, what happened?
Well, it was noon, so it was nighttime, and the music goes softer and softer.
As the sun was going down, the music kept getting softer and softer. And so then did they get back on the staircase and go back home? Yeah, and so what did they dream about that night?
The fun afternoon.
Their fun afternoon with the sun, right? Okay, great. Well, thank you for that great story and that beautiful artwork. Our first grade first place is Preston Mullins. Preston wrote a story called The Adventures of Mappy. And he's from Moyock, North Carolina. And Mappy, The Adventures of Mappy. Can you tell people what Mappy is? What is Mappy?
He's a map.
He's a map. And he's just not any old map. He's a map of what?
South America.
Of South America, right. So he's this little map of South America. And he had a dream. What was his dream?
That he was going to take a trip around the world.
Right. But he didn't quite know how he was going to do it, did he? He didn't know that yet. But he really, when he woke up, he wanted to go to Africa. What did he want to see in Africa?
The lions.
The lions. And he wanted to get a pet there, too. What pet did he want?
A rare African bird.
He wanted a rare African bird. And not only did Mappy want to go to Africa, Mappy also wanted to go to Europe and go visit the Eiffel Tower, right? So he started out and he was in the sand. Can you talk about that a little bit?
He dug down under the sand, under the ocean, to try to get across, but the sand caved in and water splashed into his tunnel.
What did he turn himself into then?
A paper airplane.
We're getting smarter, aren't we? So then he was going to fly over the ocean, right?
Yeah.
And he was flying along, and what happened?
He didn't fold himself right, so he fell into the ocean.
Right. If you're in a paper airplane, you got to be folded right. So he fell into the ocean. However, what happened then?
He fell into the water, but when he tried to stand up, he could walk on the water.
He could walk on the water, so then everything was great because he could go wherever he wanted, right? And he was going to visit all the continents, right?
Right.
Right. Well, that was a great story about Mappy. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you for that story and for the nice printing. Our second grade honorable mention is Lorianne Henry. She wrote a story called My Leprechaun Friends, and she attends Sewell's Point Elementary in Norfolk. So you have some leprechaun friends that you wrote your story about, right? You started out by going to a store, right? And what did you get at that store?
Construction paper.
And what kind of construction paper?
Green, black, and yellow.
And why did you get green, black, and yellow?
Because I was going to make a top hat like a leprechaun's.
Yeah, so you were going to make a hat, but it wasn't really just a hat, was it? It was something else.
Oh, trap.
It was a trap. And you had to have another couple other things for your trap. What were those?
Some string, twigs, and a rubber band bracelet.
And why did you have a rubber band bracelet?
Because if it was yellow, it would look like gold. And if I made a bracelet, it'd look like a necklace.
Right. So maybe the leprechauns would see that on the top of the trap and
think it was gold.
Right, and then they'd fall in, right? Right.
Because they don't follow rules, so if they didn't see the sign, they'd see the bracelet.
Right. So the rules said not to climb on the twigs on the ladder.
But they don't go by the rules.
So leprechauns don't go by the rules. Did you just set one trap up, or were there lots of traps?
Lots of traps.
Lots of traps. Okay. So On St. Patty's Day, that night, the night before St. Patty's Day, you went to sleep and you had all these traps set all over your house, right? And so when you woke up on St. Patrick's Day, what was going on?
The traps were wiggling
And why were they wiggling?
because there are leprechauns in them trying to get out.
So it wasn't just one leprechaun, you caught a whole bunch of leprechauns, right? And what did they say?
They said they would be my friends.
Yeah, and that made you very happy, right? Yeah, okay. Well, what a cute story about your leprechaun friends. Thank you. Our second grade first place winner is Xavier Whelan. Xavier's story is called The Bravest Boy in China. And he goes to Taylor Elementary in Norfolk. Okay, Xavier. This brave boy, his name is Chang, right? His name is Chang. And what celebration did he like to go to?
He liked to go to the Chinese New Year festival because of the dragon.
Yeah, because he would see the guys that had the dragon costume on running around, right? So he was at this festival with his parents, and he saw the dragon, but there was something about this dragon.
There were no feet under the dragon's long tail.
So what did he think?
He thought it was a real dragon.
And he told his parents, right? But what did his parents say?
They didn't believe him.
They thought he'd eaten some bad rice, right?
Yeah.
So, but he believed it, didn't he? And so when the firecrackers started going off, what did Chang do?
He snuck off.
Yeah, and where did he go?
He followed the dragon.
And he followed him lots of places. Where all did he have to go?
He had to go for the Gobi Desert. He had to go over the Yellow River. He had to go through a bamboo forest and plenty other places through China.
Right, but he kept seeing that red tail and he kept going for it. And finally he got to North Mountain. And what was North Mountain?
The Great North Mountain had 4 large dragons in it. Red, blue, green, and gold.
Right, and now the green one wasn't too happy, right?
He wanted to eat them.
And the red dragon said,
Disagreed.
And why did he disagree?
Because Chang was very brave and followed him all the way across, even though in the Gobi Desert he was tired and he wanted to go home.
Yeah, and he was hungry. And so the red dragon was a lucky dragon, right? So he gave him one of his scales, right? And the blue dragon, I want to meet this blue dragon. Tell him what the blue dragon gave him.
He gave him a bag of gold.
Yeah, I could use one of those bags of gold. Okay, and then the gold dragon did something even cooler. What was that?
He made him the emperor of all China and brought him back home.
Yeah, and they flew up in the sky, up into the clouds, and brought him home. Well, it's a very imaginative story. Congratulations. And our third grade honorable mention is Evelyn Page. And Evelyn wrote a story called Olivia's Adventure. And Evelyn goes to school right next door to WHRO at Larchmont Elementary, right? Yes. Okay, so Olivia's a little scientist, right?
Yes.
Right, and she wanted to go study something. What did she want to go study?
Lava at the planet Love Winds.
Right, so she and her dog Sparky, they got in the rocket and they took off. She was a little scared about getting in the rocket though, right? Mm-hmm. Why was she scared?
She had never been in space before and she thought that many problems would happen.
Well, and you know, when they started off and things were going great. They went by a planet that looked kind of yummy to me. What was the name of that planet?
Candy Mania.
And I think Sparky wanted to go back there, right? Yeah, it looked pretty tasty to me too. But then there were problems. What happened?
The rocket started slowing down and it broke down.
Oh, and what planet were they on when this happened?
The planet Aquins.
And it was different than the planet she was going to because she wanted to study lava, and this planet was all ice, right? Yeah. Who appears?
An alien.
Oh, no. So not only is she on this ice planet, there's an alien, and she's scared, right? And she slips and she falls, and her dog is barking. What did the alien tell Sparky?
The alien told Sparky that he was a nice alien.
Right, so Sparky went over and started licking her face and saying, come on, get up, everything's going to be fine. And then Olivia asked the alien if he could fix the spaceship, right? And he could because he was
an alien mechanic.
right. He was an alien mechanic. So they fixed the spaceship and they got to fly back home safe and sound, right? And then Olivia always has something she can tell people. And how does she start that story out?
One day I decided to go to the planet Lovewind.
Very good. Nice job, honey. Our third grade first place winner is Colin Carroll. Colin wrote a story called The Sneaky Dog, and Colin goes to Tidewater Academy. And your artwork was very interesting. It was sort of a combination of photographs that you put together, right, about this sneaky dog. So you all have Bella, and you decide to go on a little trip to Busch Gardens. So you leave Bella at home by herself, right? And when you got back from Busch Gardens, what did you find?
She went in my room and put on my baseball clothes and was sitting in the living room watching TV.
What was she watching? Was she watching baseball?
Yeah.
So you were like, wow, that's pretty different. And then the next day when your mom took you to school, Bella snuck into your sister's room. And what did she end up when your mom got back? What was Bella wearing then?
A scarf and a tutu.
She had the tutu on, and your mom was like, wow, this is one sneaky dog, right? And then the next morning when you all get up, what is Bella dressed in the next morning?
She's in my mom's bathroom cooking breakfast, and she cooked dog food, and nobody tried it except her.
So Bella was frying some dog food for you guys for breakfast, right? Well, then your dad got home from work and he got a little mad. Why was he mad?
Because Bella was typing on his computer and in his work shirt.
Right, and he was like, come on, this is my computer. It's a pretty nice looking computer from the picture. I can understand why he might not like that. But with all of these crazy experiences you had with Bella, you learned something about Bella, and what was that?
That we love her just the way she is, and we want to keep her just the way she is.
Right, and she misses you when you are gone, and that's always something to remember about pets, because they do love us and miss us when we're gone, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that was a great, funny story. And our fourth grade honorable mention is Mary Seward. Mary wrote a story, Sadie Adopted Us, and Mary goes to Tidewater Academy in Wakefield. So this is our second dog story, right? Okay, so Sadie. Now, this story starts out, and I can't believe it, but you really have a golf cart and you get to drive it?
Yes.
Wow. I would like to drive a golf cart, but so you live where it's fairly rural, so you don't drive on the road? No, okay. But you were driving your golf cart one day, and this dog jumped into the cart?
Yes.
What did you think?
I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, so you just kept driving and you drove home, and when you started to go to your house, the dog kind of wanted to come in, right?
Yes.
Right, and you didn't let the dog in. Why didn't you let the dog in then?
So I knew my mom would say no to the
Right.
dog.
She would, no, we can't have a dog. Not a stray dog, anyway, like this one that just jumps on your golf cart. Yeah, so you decided you would give the dog a bath, right? Clean her up a little bit. Maybe that would help Mom agree to let her in the house, right? Okay, so you're giving her a bath, and oh no, what happens?
My mom comes out.
And there was no way to hide her, right? Right. So what did your mom say then?
Well, she said we can keep her then.
Aw. Yeah, she was thinking maybe you should also look to see if anybody else had a missing dog, right?
Yeah.
So you put a sign up, missing dog, and then you see a sign that says, no, you put a sign up, found dog, and then you saw a sign, missing dog, and I bet you were really sad, yeah, because now you had this dog and maybe it belongs to somebody else, but come to find out that wasn't the case, right?
Yeah.
Right, so you all were going to get to keep the dog. So you took the dog to the vet and you got all the things it needed, a collar and leash and tags and all and shots, and you decided to name the dog. And what did you name it?
Sadie.
And why Sadie?
Because we were thinking like it would be a different name.
Yeah, that's a good name. Sadie's a good name. And so everything was going pretty well with Sadie, except that Sadie would run after your dad's car, his truck, when he was going to work, right? So this was a problem because maybe Sadie might get hurt, right? So you were going to have to do something. So what did you all decide to do?
We put an invisible fence so she would be protected.
Right, and it was a big family endeavor to get that fence in, right? You all had to work to do this to help Sadie stay safe. And now, so Sadie, she barks when people come, you know when people are coming, but there's something else she does. What else is it that she does?
She runs around the garage.
And she's done this for years, right? And you still can't figure out why she does that, right?
No.
But you love your Sadie, right? Well, that was a great little story about your dog, Sadie. Thank you. Our 4th grade first place winner is Trenton Jones and his story, The Shiva Dragon. And Trenton also goes to Tidewater Academy in Wakefield. Trenton, you have great artwork. Very nice artwork in your story. I love the village picture where you could see the garden growing, and yeah, it was very, 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 very nice. And Trenton wrote us a chapter book. This actually has chapters, right? Your book has chapters. Now, your dragon story is not a happy dragon story like the other dragon story we heard, was it? Is it? No. So this is the bad dragon story. All right, well, tell us about this dragon.
Well, this dragon was a bad dragon, and he would go to nearby villages and destroy them.
Right, he would just burn them all down, blow his fire out his mouth and burn them all down. Well, the 2 characters in this story, they're really concerned something's going to happen at their village, right? So what do they decide to do?
They decide to go on a journey and find and kill the dragon.
Right, that's pretty brave for young kids, I think. Now, their dad he had a special job, so what was his job?
He was of their village huntsman. They were...
Right, so he had some tools they could use. What did they take with them from their dad?
They took a sword and bow with arrows.
Yeah. So in their journey to get while they were looking for the dragon, they went through marshes and swamps, and they got hungry, and they had to figure out what to eat, right? So what did they eat?
They ate birds and squirrels, and they shot them with the bow and arrows, and that was good practice for them to shoot the dragon.
Right. So they got a little practice and got a little food too, right? Yeah. Yes. Okay. All right. So they get to a village, and it's all burned down, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no. And they're walking around in all the ashes, and then what happens?
They came to a stop, and they saw the Shivan dragon standing right in front of them.
And what did they do?
They drew their weapons, and they shot the bow and arrows, and then they threw the sword, and they hit the dragon in the heart, and then the dragon was dead.
And then the village was saved, right?
Yes.
That's a great story. Even though he was a bad dragon, we like that the village was saved by the young kids. Very nice. Our 5th grade honorable mention is Emily Klages, and her story is Millie and the Oil Spill. And Emily is a homeschool student in Virginia Beach. Emily, your artwork is beautiful too. Very beautiful artwork in Emily's story. And your story is our environmental story this year, right? Millie and Lisa, they love to play and splash in the water, and they love the beautiful blue sea as far as they could see. And they were playing and having a good time. They were trying to avoid getting too close to this ship, right? But as they were playing, it started getting dark, even though it was noontime, right? And why was it starting to get dark in the water?
Because the oil was sort of blocking out the sun, because they're underwater and looking up.
Right. So now Millie got a little frisky and decided to go check it out, right? And what happened?
She got stuck in the oil.
ooh, and she was trying to get out, but she couldn't get out at all. And her friend was mad because she'd done this, right? It was like she should have known better than to go up in that gooky stuff, right? Yeah, and then finally, though, she did finally get out and got over to a rock, and then she heard something, right? Millie heard something. What did she hear?
She heard a helicopter flying down.
And she was like, oh, good, maybe somebody's coming. And who was it in the helicopter?
It was an animal rescuer named Ginny.
Okay, so then once she was all cleaned up, Jenny took her back where she belonged, right, where she had found her, and then Lisa was waiting on Millie, right? And at first Lisa was like, oh, I'm so glad you're back, and you shouldn't have done that. That was a mistake. But Lisa was really happy that Millie was back. And what did the two of them do?
They did like a tail high five.
Yeah, let's do a tail high five. Tail high five, right, because they were back playing in the clean water and they were cleaning up the oil spill, right? Okay, well, thank you for that good story, Emily. Our first place winner in 5th grade is Julia Wood. Julia's story is called Piper's Wish, and Julia is also a homeschool student. I really like your story because I'm a cat person, and I happen to have 2 black cats, and Piper is a black cat, right? Yeah. Piper has a little bit of a problem. What is Piper's problem?
She was declawed, so she couldn't play outside or climb a cat tower with George.
Well, George, her brother, has claws, so he can go outside. Well, all of a sudden one day, George was out there playing, and George came running through, the door opened, and George didn't come first, something else came through the door first, right?
A mouse.
Right, and George was chasing this mouse, right? And then Piper decided to get in on the action too and was looking for the mouse as well, right? But the mouse was afraid that Piper was going to eat him, right? Because that's what George was about to do, right? But Piper said she would never do that, right? Right, Piper wasn't interested in eating the mouse. And the mouse, he was sort of a magic mouse, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. Had a little red cape.
He could grant wishes too.
He could grant wishes. So he made a suggestion to her. What was his suggestion to her?
That if she put him outside first, he would give her claws.
Right. If Piper would just let him go outside, the mouse, then Piper could get her claws back. So the little mouse hopped out the window, right? Mm-hmm. Piper let him go, and she felt a tingling in her paws, and
she got her claws back.
And she got her claws back. So finally she could climb trees and climb the cat tower and be like a regular cat and get to go outside, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you for that nice story.